The Houston Texans just became the kind of team that makes the whole AFC shift in their seats. 1 month ago, they felt like background noise. Now they are walking in with 12 wins, a 9-game win streak, and a 5th seed that feels like a warning sign, not a reward. Nobody expected the switch to flip this fast, and that is exactly why it matters. When a team changes this late, it is usually luck. This does not feel like luck. This feels like something they figured out, and they do not want anyone to notice until it is too late. The shocking part is how calm it all looks. This is not a circus offense. It is CJ Stroud playing clean, choosing the safe throw when the moment begs for a risky one, and finishing drives without panic. Then the defense walks onto the field and squeezes the air out of the game, like they are built for tight scores and cold nights. Houston does not need to win pretty. They just need you to blink once. One bad decision, one forced throw, one rushed third down, and suddenly you are the one chasing the game. That is the trap. They make you feel safe right before they take the game away. But here is the twist. This version of Houston did not start as a powerhouse. Early on, it looked shaky, noisy, messy, like the season could slide before it even got going. And instead of breaking, they got sharper, quieter, tougher. And DeMeco Ryans kept them locked on the small details that decide close games. If you want to understand why they feel dangerous now, you have to go back to the part nobody talks about, the ugly start that forced them to change or disappear. But before we get into that, hit that like and subscribe button for more Texans and all the NFL content. Let's aim for 250 likes on this video. Houston opened the season at 0-3, and that kind of start usually leaves a mark you never wash off. Outside the building, people were ready to file them away as a team that was still learning how to win. Inside, it hit different. It was anger, but not the loud kind, more like a cold focus. The games were close enough to hurt, and that is what made it dangerous, because close losses tell a team the truth. You either fix it fast, or you spend the whole year making excuses. The hard part was not talent. It was the little stuff that ruins good football. A missed block that turns a clean play into a broken one. A late flag that keeps a drive alive when it should be over. A route that is one step off, and now a throw looks wrong when it was actually the right read. That is where the change started. Not with a speech, not with a miracle, but with painful honesty. They treated every mistake like it was stealing points from them, and week by week, the same moments stopped beating them. The fear turned into patience, then the patience turned into control. And once a team learns how to survive its own worst habits, it stops fearing other teams. That is when the season stops being a climb and starts feeling like a threat. The wild part is the path that kind of growth creates, because it usually brings you a playoff matchup you did not plan for. One strange swing at the end of the year, one game that flips the bracket, and suddenly the first test is set. That is where this story tightens, because the opponent Houston drew tells you exactly what the league thinks they are. The Houston Texans did not get a calm path into the playoffs. They got a door kicked open by somebody else's chaos. The Pittsburgh Steelers and the Baltimore Ravens played a game that felt like it was built to break nerves, and it ended with one swing that changed everything. Aaron Rodgers found Calvin Austin for the go-ahead score, and suddenly the whole night leaned toward one final kick. Then Tyler Loop, the rookie kicker, pushed a 44-yard field goal wide, and the board snapped into place. What makes it scary is how the Steelers did it, because it was not some wild fireworks show. They bled the game slowly, then punched at the exact moment you least want to get punched. Kenneth Gainwell caught 8 passes for 64 yards and kept turning small throws into moving chains, while Jaylen Warren hit the soft spots with 14 carries for 66 yards and just kept leaning on defenders. Add Pat Freiermuth hanging around the middle, and you get an offense that dares you to lose patience. Now the Texans know exactly who is waiting, and that matters because this opponent comes with clear habits, not mystery. Pittsburgh wants you to blink, to guess wrong once, to chase a big play instead of playing steady. That is the setup, because Houston's whole rise has been about staying calm when games get tight. And the next twist is not even the scheme or the matchup. It is something quieter that can tilt the first playoff night before the ball is even snapped. The playoffs do not care how loud you were in December. They care who can actually hold up when Every snap feels heavier. Houston just got a break that fans do not celebrate, but coaches love. Their young left tackle Ariante Ursary got a reset at the right moment, and yes, he is a rookie in this run, so every extra day matters. He is walking into January with fresher legs, and that changes the mood of the whole offense before the ball is even kicked. You can see it in the one stat that tells the truth about stress. Houston gave up 31 sacks over the season, but late in the year it flipped into 6 sacks over the last 6 games. And that is not luck, that is growth. When protection calms down, your quarterback stops playing scared, your roots can actually finish, and you stop living on hope throws. The same play that used to feel like a risk starts to feel like a choice, and that is when a team becomes hard to read. The back end got its own lift too, and it matters because you only get one bad step in January. Kamari Lassiter missed time so his body could settle, and Tremon Smith had to carry real snaps to keep things stable. Now the Texans get the option of putting fresher legs back on the field, not chasing survival, but chasing control. And when a team feels healthy at the exact moment everyone else is just trying to hold together, that is when the offense starts showing its real plan, because it finally trusts what it can call. Houston does not scare you with one big headline on offense. It scares you with how many different answers it has. One week, it feels like the ball is out fast. The next week, the timing changes. The next week, the pace shifts again. And defenses spend the whole night guessing who the plan is built around. That is the quiet power of Nick Caley right now. Early in the year, the calls felt like they were searching. Now, the calls feel like they are hunting. It is not loud. It is not fancy. It is just sharp. And that kind of sharpness is exactly what wins when the game gets tight. The ground game is where the attitude shows up. Woody Marks brings steady carries that keep the offense on schedule. Then Jahar Jordan hits the same defense with a different rhythm, quicker cuts, quicker stress, and suddenly the edges feel unsafe. And when that run threat is real, it buys space for CJ Stroud to play the game his way. Not forced, not rushed, not begging for hero throws. The offense does not need to chase a perfect drive every time. It just needs to keep stacking small wins until the defense on the other side feels pressure building in their chest. Then the pass catchers take turns turning those small wins into points. Dalton Schultz is the safety valve when the field gets crowded, Nico Collins is the threat that keeps corners honest, and guys like Xavier Hutchinson, Jaden Higgins, and Jalen Knoll can pop up and flip a drive when the defense forgets about them for one snap. And if a drive stalls, Ka'imi Fairbairn can still punish you for it. That is why this feels dangerous, because it is built to win even when the game is not pretty. Now, the real question is what happens when they face an offense that lives on patience and one sudden strike, because that is exactly what Pittsburgh wants to be. The Pittsburgh Steelers offense is dangerous because it does not look dangerous at first. It walks you into a slow fight, snap after snap, tackle after tackle, and it dares you to get bored. Then, the moment you relax, it hits you with one clean punch, and suddenly the whole game feels like it flipped in seconds. That is the trick. They make you feel like you are in control right until you are not. It starts with the backs and how they keep the chain moving without needing big runs. Jaylen Warren stays stubborn, he takes the tough yards, he keeps the defense honest, and he makes every series feel like work. Kenneth Gainwell adds a different stress, slipping out for short throws that turn into real gains when defenders take one wrong angle. And with Aaron Rodgers running the show, the ball comes out on time, the reads feel calm, and the defense is forced to play perfect. Pat Freiermuth lives in those middle windows too, just enough to punish zones that get lazy, and that steady pressure sets up the one shot they really want. That shot is why you can never blink, because Calvin Austin only needs one clean step to change the whole night. The scary part is not the play itself. It is what it does to your mind, because once you give up one deep ball, you start playing scared. And that is exactly where Houston can turn this into their kind of game, because their defense is built to stay patient, sit in the lanes, and punish the first bad choice. That is where this gets real, because the next layer is what Houston does to quarterbacks when the field starts shrinking. The Houston Texans defense is the part nobody wants to admit they hate playing, because it turns every drive into a slow squeeze. The field feels smaller, The throws feel later, and the easy stuff stops being easy. You think you have space, then it closes. You think you have a window, then it disappears. And when a team can do that on the road, in noise, in cold, with the season on the line, that is when it stops being a good defense and starts feeling like a problem the whole conference has to plan around. It is not one trick, it is how connected they are. Henry To'oTo'o sits in the lanes like he is waiting for the ball, not chasing it. Kamari Lassiter can get hands on receivers and make timing routes feel messy. Derek Stingley can stay calm when the ball is in the air and still play it like he owns it. Then you add Callan Bullock floating in the back, showing one look before the snap and landing somewhere else after. And now the quarterback is throwing to a spot that is already gone. That is how a drive dies, not with a big hit, but with a throw that arrives 1 second late and a tackle that lands 1 second fast. Now zoom out and feel what that means for January. Offenses that live on comfort start to panic when comfort is not there, and panic creates chances. The scary part is the AFC mood feels different this year, like the usual safety blanket is gone and everyone can feel it. So the question is not whether Houston can hang around, the question is, who is ready to play 4 quarters against a defense that never gives you the same picture twice? Because that is where the whole playoff path starts changing. The Houston Texans are walking into an AFC that suddenly feels wide open, and that should scare people more than anyone's stat ever could. The biggest shock is that the usual final boss is not even in the bracket, and that means everyone is looking around like the room got quieter. When Patrick Mahomes is not standing in the way, the pressure moves to everybody else. Josh Allen feels it. Lamar Jackson feels it. And in that kind of playoff air, a team like Houston becomes dangerous fast. Because they do not need to be perfect, they just need to be steady while the favorites start gripping the wheel too tight. Here is what nobody wants to say out loud. Houston wins in a way that travels. They do not chase style points, they chase control. Their quarterback plays like every snap matters, and that keeps the game from turning into a circus. Their defense makes drives feel heavy, and that forces offenses to earn every yard, not borrow it. That combination does something to a playoff game. It makes the other team feel like they have to create magic, and magic usually turns into mistakes when the clock starts screaming. Now the real tension sits in one place, that first night in Pittsburgh. If Houston handles that moment, it will not just be a win. It will be a message that the Texans are not here to learn, they are here to take somebody's season. And once a team sends that message, the next matchup stops being about talent and starts being about nerves. Because everybody in the AFC will be asking the same thing. Who is ready to play a full game against this version of Houston when the room gets tight?